Hey streamers, a while back I did a little video on how to display a clip from a raider in your Twitch stream using Streamer.bot. And I got a lot of good responses from that. A lot of people really liked it and were using it. And I want to do a little follow-up video because some issues cropped up after that video went out that I wanted to address. When I first made the video, I made the command, it worked. It worked really well. A couple of things happened. Twitch changed something on its back end, and for some reason, clips started loading muted. And you'd go and interact, and you'd unmute, and the next time it played a clip, it'd be muted again. And like I saw this, and then like within like a day after I saw it, or maybe a couple of days after, somebody asked me about it in the comments because they had it happen. And I'd already like when it happened to me, I went in and I was fiddling around with stuff. I went into the interact. I tried the unmuting thing, and that didn't, it didn't hold. And I did a whole bunch of stuff, and at some point, all of a sudden, it stayed unmuted, and I couldn't figure out what it was that I did that fixed it. Like what thing and all the random crap that I did was it that solved the problem. Fortunately, someone else commenting on the video who also asked about this. And I told them, well, I did all this stuff and I couldn't figure it out. And I'm still trying to figure out, and I'll get back to you when I do. They figured out how to fix it. So that's one thing I wanted to address. And another thing that cropped up, and this is something that didn't even occur to me when I made the video, when I made the action, is streams that are, this stream is intended for certain audiences, and then you have to go in and you have to be like, oh, now I have to tell it, no, I'm okay with this. And that's not a really big thing to fix, but it is kind of like a downside. Like, again, I didn't even think of that. And it's a pain in the butt if it happens when you get a raid in a stream and then it can't play the clip. So I wanted to address that too. So actually, I'll do that one first because that's a really quick one to deal with. Basically, and let me get to the right scene. So basically, you get it, and the clip would play, and of course, like this works fine here. But let's say you had one of those if you had one of those things where it was like, oh, this is intended for certain audiences. Basically, the trick with that is, okay, let me load this again. Go and you interact, and like the little thing that'll pop up here that asks you to confirm it. You just click that, tell it to confirm it, and we've been working him too hard. And if you do that, it should hold. Like you maybe so what I'd say is before you even like go live with this thing, like find a channel that this is going to come up with. What channels you watch. You probably have some idea of who raised you. Find a channel that this is going to be like they have mature content or whatever. Get a link for one of their clips, stick it in your browser source, and when the thing pops up, like I said, then you go in, you confirm it. Find like a couple, just for good measure. After that, it should hold. I also recommend that you make sure that you're logged into Twitch in OBS. Like for me, like when I stream, if you're in, let's see, go into settings and stream. If you use a servicing like Twitch and you connect like this, as opposed to just putting an RTMP server in, if you actually connect your actual account to OBS, then you'll be logged in the browser too. If you don't do that, you can use the interact menu here and log in up here. Like that is something you can do. That is an option. I recommend that basically so that it gets like your settings, just like as a little backup, like because you probably have like your settings, like these are the things I'm okay with seeing, and it's just kind of like that extra layer of like, okay, I think I get it in the cache in the browser, but let me just get my account settings too, just kind of like that extra layer. And I found, like I said, after you clear it a couple of times, it doesn't happen again. And hopefully that works for everyone. Maybe it's just the people I've tried it with, but it doesn't seem to give me a problem after that. So that is how you solve that issue there. Now we're going to talk about the muted video. It's a super simple fix, and I'm glad someone figured out exactly what it was. now show you how to fix that. And it's not a bad fix at all. So now here you're going to see I unfixed the problem so that I can show you how to fix it properly. As you can see, this loads and the clip's muted. And for many of you, if you've tried this, this has probably happened to you and you go, what the crap? And you might have fixed it, and that's great. If you have, awesome. I'm glad you figured it out. If you haven't, though, I'm going to show you now what to do. So basically, first go in and interact. Busted. Unmute. I'm such a jerk. I make him do so much stuff around the house. Here, the settings cog. Now, it might be any setting that will do the trick, but this is the one that worked. Tomorrow you trim the hedges, Buster. So this is what we're going to use. Just change your output, your resolution. Then Billy Cat. Change it back. There's the here. Close out. And next time you load the clips, it stays unmuted here. So that's a pretty simple fix. And so if you're having that issue, that's all you got to do. Just go into your settings, like unmute it, go a little settings cog, change resolution to something else, and change it back to what you want it at. Again, the other settings might do the trick too, but that seemed to work. And I think what's happening there is if you just go in and unmute it, the cache doesn't recognize, like Twitch doesn't recognize that as something you want, like as a setting that you want all the time. But when you go into that little cog and you change something, now Twitch is like, oh, they changed the setting. This is how they want this to always load. And when it saves that, it also saves that you had it unmuted and now it works. I think that's how it's working. At least it solves the problem either way. However, whatever's going on in the background on Twitch, doing that fixes the problem. So simple fix, annoying problem. I don't know why it all of a sudden cropped up. All I can figure is Twitch changed something in the website, how something works in the website, and it affected this little use case that we have. So pretty simple solution, thankfully. So you can fix that. You can fix the age restriction thing, and you should be good to go on those fronts. So now we're going to go into some things, not problems anyone had, but things people ask me about, like how can I do X, Y, Z? Can I use it like this? Can I use it like that? And I figured out how to do it, and I showed them in the comments, and I said this might be something other people want, and they're not going to probably see it in the comments. So I'm going to make a follow-up video that includes these little questions people had. So one of the first things someone asked me was, is there a way I can do most viewed clips? Can I get show the most viewed clip that this person has as opposed to just any random clip? And the answer is yes, you can do that. In the clip data object that we use to get like all the information about the clips and get a URL, there is a view count variable. It's called, I think it's just views. We'll see it in the code in a minute. And that tells you, how many views each clip had. And it's basically just a matter of creating a loop that goes through every single one and finds the biggest view value and then uses that URL. So we'll go into the code and I'll show you how to do that. So we're going to go into, So we're going to go into Streamer.bot. Here's my code. This is my regular code for Raider clip. And right now, it's set up like we usually use it. This is something I was experimenting with. I commented out. Don't worry about that. Though I will actually talk about something related to that in a while. This thing here is, again, something I was fooling around with and I couldn't make it work. So basically, like right now, the way I set it up, you're just getting a clip number, just a random. You find out how many clips there are. If there's more than 0, then we know we have clips, and then we just use a randomizing function to get a random number between those. But if you want to get the most clips, that's not a difficult thing really to solve at all. So here's what we do. So first, you're going to want to make a couple of variables. So I made an integer I and set it equal to 0. We're going to start at 0. Integer views, set it equal to 0. That's how it's going to start out. 2 new integers. And now, instead of using CPH between, comment that out, we're going to make a little loop that's going to check. So I, that's our counter. So that's a counter for the loop. So we know how many iterations we're going through. While I is less than clip.count. Okay, so while the loop has not reached the end of the number of clips, if clip I, that's the clip number the loop's on now, dot view count. View count is the variable for how many views a clip has, is greater than views. Remember, we started views set as 0. Right? We started that set as 0. So the first clip we get is obviously going to have more than 0 views, at least for the streamer who rated. We hope it does. And so it's going to say, if this is greater than views, we're going to set views equal to clip I. Again, this is a clip we're on in the loop, dot view count, the number of views. So now views is equal to however many views that clip has. And then we're going to set our clip number variable. That's the variable we use when we actually get the URL for the clip and when we get the duration of the clip. We're going to set that clip number to I. That's where we are now. So the first one, that's going to say, okay, well, now we set clip number to the first clip. Now it's going to, then I++ is going to increment I by 1. So that's going to take us up to our next clip. So now we're going to say, again, is I less than clip count? Yep, it's less than the number of clips. So we're going to keep going. Now we're going to say if that clip that we're on now, so that obviously would be the second one, clip I dot view count, is that greater than views? Is that more than the number of views that the last clip had? If it isn't, then it's going to go on. It's going to skip this little body here. It's going to increment. It's going to go to, and it's going to go up, go to the next step iteration of the loop. It's going to, I's going to increment. It's going to check the next clip. If that's greater than the number of views in the clip we already had, then it'll change the view number to the views, however many views that clip has. Then it's going to set clip number to that clip, and it's going to keep going through. And every time it finds a clip with more views than the last clip that we saved the view count for, it's gonna then change the number of views. It's gonna change the views that we're comparing to that count, and then it's gonna set clip number to that clip. And it's just going to keep going through that loop. And every single time it says, oh, this clip has more views than the last one, we're going to increment. And obviously, if we're going along, let's say clip number 15 has 27 views and clip number 16 has 25 views, it's going to say, oh, well, that's less than, I don't need that. I don't care about that one. But if it finds one that's greater than 27 views, then it's going to say, oh, well, this now is, out of all the clips I've checked so far, this has the most views. So now I'm going to assign this to clip number. And it'll go through there till it gets to the end of the number of clips. And then whatever's in clip number, whatever value is in clip number, that is the clip with the most clips. And then we'll just, the rest of our function, the rest of our code is the same as it was before. Because, again, clip number is what we use to get our duration, our URL. And that will give you the clip with the most views. And basically, because we're not using CPH between, you want to take that CPH between out. Oh, by the way, this is just another way of commenting. A double slash comments out one line. It turns into a comment. A comment is a really good thing when you're programming because you can write in your code like, this is what this does, this is what that does. So when you come back to look at it later or someone else looks at it, they know what your code's doing. They don't have to translate the code and figure out what it's doing. So always comment your code so that you have something to remind you what this does. Again, or if you give it to someone else what it does, or if you make a tutorial video for the internet showing people how to do it, you can remember what it does right away. And they can see what it does. So now, again, this will get us the most views, and then you'll just compile, you'll save and compile, and it'll get you the most clips. So let's give that a run. So no errors, so I didn't screw anything up. Save, emulate. Let's simulate a raid here. So let's see, I think I did, let me see. Simulate, since I already had permission from the last time. Simulate there. We'll do one of theirs. Yeah, we'll want that. Select.
Packet Runner Super Bowl!
And this will bring up their most viewed clip. and I gotta qualify within whatever type of collection
all right.
method you used.
What are you doing, girl?
Yeah.
Oh, you're.
We
What
need a snowy
happened?
cliff
So
stand.
What
this
happened to your
is
face?
Keep an eye out for
oh,
The
what do you
horse is
call it?
interested.
Skyrim,
Yeah,
I
the
think.
horse was
Uh-oh.
digging at your butt.
Don't be.
Skyrim or yep, it's Skyrim with the mod. Okay, and now if I run that again and again and again, I'll get the exact same clip every time. And like I said, I will specify if you're using a date range, it's going to be the most viewed clip within that date range if you're using the date range method. And of course, if you're using all the featured clips, it's going to be the most viewed featured clips. If you're using all the unfeatured clips, it's going to be the most viewed unfeatured clip. And then, of course, you do all the clips, then it'll be the most viewed of all their clips, at least within the limit of clips that you're able to collect. I think there is an upper limit on how many clips you can get data on before it maxes out. Okay, so another thing, they asked if they could do a command to get clips. And I'm assuming they meant a command where you like type, say, like exclamation point get clip, and that will get you a clip from the person that you mentioned, that person that you put in the command. So that's what I'm going to show you. If I'm mistaken and you're watching this video, let me know that that's not what you had in mind. But my understanding is they wanted to know if they could do a command to retrieve a clip. And that's another thing you can do. You're going to have to get a couple of different data types that we didn't use before. So I did set up a command for that. So here I did an action called get clip command. I'm sorry. And made a command for a trigger. So I call my command get clip. And now I took the code that I used before. I copied that into here, but then I made some alterations to make it do what we want to do now. So because you need a user ID, and like user ID isn't their username, like my username's Virus, that's not my user ID. The user ID is an alphanumeric string that's like of random letters and numbers that is assigned to each user. And of course, you're not going to know what that is. I don't know what my user ID is, but I know what my username is. So what we can do is we can use a data type called Twitch user info. It's another object that has like kind of like how clip data has a bunch of pieces in it. Twitch user info has a bunch of pieces in it too, a whole bunch of information about the user, and one of the things in it is their user ID. So that is what we need. So we need to get their Twitch info. And because we know their username, the function, the Streamer.bot calls it a user login. It's not their, obviously it's not their password. It's just, it's your screen name. It's what you use to log in with. So I made a string for user login, and that will, that's where we're going to store, obviously, the account that we want to get the clips from. And that should be all the variables you need to make. And okay, I'm doing a date range in case you're wondering. And so we want to get a username out of the command. So when someone enters a command and it sends a command, there's a bunch of variables that you get with that. And one of them is input 0. That would be the thing they input. There's a couple of different variables that hold what the input is, but they're all a little different. Input 0 is one where if they use the @ symbol to pull up the person's name out of people in the chat, like if you do like let's say I was in your chat and you want to pull up one of my clips and you did get clip @ to pull up my name Fire so you could autocomplete. Well, obviously @ is not part of their username, so you want to make sure that's stripped out before you send it into the function to get their user ID. So input 0 strips that @ symbol off the beginning, so you get just the username. So that way you don't have to worry about like an error. Like obviously, if you're not using the @ symbol, then I think any of the input things, like the variables for input, will do the job. But you want to kind of like fail safe this thing. So we're going to use input 0, so we get that @ symbol stripped off. The variable I made for the Twitch user info, I just called user info. So user info equals and Twitch get user info by login is a function that will spit back a Twitch user info data type with all the information you want. So cph Twitch get user info by login, and we're going to send that we're going to use that user login variable that we filled in here. So try get arg is a command that is a function that gets arguments out of a command that someone sends you. So this will get, again, it will get the input 0, and we're going to send that to our user login string. And then, like I said, then this will grab all their info and put it in user info, this Twitch get user info by login. And then we can use that to get the user ID. So then we're just going to do basically what we did before, get clips for user by ID, except instead of using the user ID variable we used before, this here, I don't know why I left that there. I don't need it anymore. We're going to use user info. That's the variable we made with the Twitch user info dot user ID. And remember, case sensitive, it's got to be a capital U, capital I, or it's not going to work. It's going to give you an error, say, I don't know what the heck you're looking for. There's no such thing as that there. And then, like I said, just depends on whatever get clips for user ID you use. I'm using the one that uses a date range. If you're just using the one that just gets everything, then you won't be using these two little variables here. And again, this is something I was experimenting with, and I forgot to delete the commented out code. Don't worry about this crap here. It's not important. And then from there on out, everything else is the same. That's the only thing you have to change. So now instead of using a raid event, a raid, getting triggered by a raid, instead this will be triggered by a command. And like I said, the command I had was get clip. So now, if I do exclamation point get clip, and I do up, and now this will pull up a clip.
I am
well, in this case, Robot Co-op
is the thing. I got plenty of sleep last night.
So that is a command that you can use to pull up a clip for anyone. I mean, now keep in mind, if you put in a username and that person doesn't have any clips, nothing's going to come up. So just keep that in mind. So if you go, why isn't this coming up? That person probably doesn't have clips. Not most of the people in your chat aren't streamers. They're not going to have clips. But again, if a streamer comes into your chat just to talk and you want to show one of their clips, you can do that. Also, another way you can do that is if you have a shout out command. Obviously, the way your shout out command usually is exclamation point SO or shout out or whatever you call it, and then the username. Then that'll work too. You can actually take that exact same bit of code and stick it in your shout out shout out action, and it'll work just the same. Okay, now the last thing, someone mentioned that they altered the code to show one of their clips, like to show their clips instead of someone else's clip. And I thought that's a really cool idea, but there's a better way we can do that when it's our own clips. So one of the things that kind of stinks about this method is that, again, we're putting in a browser source, right? And when you have a browser source, you have all these issues like the muting thing, the restricted, content thing, like 18-year-older content thing. You got the little playback bar on the bottom for a little while. That's kind of ugly. And you get a buffer at the beginning. And, it's not ideal, but it's pretty much the only way we can do it for Raider clips. But for our own clips, we can do something a little better. You know how if you go to someone's clip page, a page with a clip, and there's a thing at the bottom for sharing and stuff, and one of the things is you can download the clip, right? And there's download landscape, download vertical, and you can download the clip as an MP4 and have it on your computer. Now, in a perfect world, that is what we would use for our Raider clips. We take that, we'd have Streamer.bot pop in the media source instead of a browser source, and it would be a clip, nice and clean, no buffering. You don't have to worry about any stuff that Twitch has done with their web page because it's just an MP4 loading from a remote server. Unfortunately, you can't do that with anyone's clips but your own. So there is a function in Streamer.bot that can actually get the download URL for a clip, but it only works for the broadcaster. You cannot use it for someone else's, which sucks. It's not Streamer.bot's fault. It's not their fault. It's the way Twitch's API works. I don't understand why it's that way. Because I was trying to set it up to use that instead of a browser source and the Raider clip thing, and I'm wondering, why isn't this working? I know everything here is right. I'm using the code right. So I went on the Streamer.bot Discord and I asked in the help section, and that's what I was told, is that the way Twitch's API works, it only works for broadcaster accounts. But if you want a command to pull up one of your clips, well, then you can use it. So I'm going to show you how to do that instead, because that, again, you might as well. I mean, you can use the browser source, but if you can do something nicer, why not? Why not use that instead, at least for your own clips? So let's go into how to do that. So this is the action I made called myClip. I made a little command called myClip. And here's the code. And again, very similar to the other code we used, except this time we're going to send it to a media source. Okay, so once again, because I don't know my own user ID, I have to use that Twitch user info thing, data type that we used before. But since we do know we have our login name, we're not taking it from a command, we don't have to get an argument. We can just pop that right into the function. So we'll make that user info for Twitch user info. I'll make that little variable there. User info equals cph Twitch get user info by login, and you could just, in a set of quotes, because it's a string, just put your own screen name in. It doesn't matter if it whether you do uppercase, lowercase, whatever. It'll get it either way. So I did it the way it formats on my screen, but if I did it all lowercase, it would work because it's a string. It's not a variable name. Okay, and then like we did in the get clip function, instead of using the user ID string, which again I should have deleted that because it's useless. We'll do user info dot user ID, and that will get your personal user ID as opposed to someone else's. And now, instead of sending it to a browser source, we're going to send that link to a media source. Okay. So first, let me show you what you get to set up. So here's the myClip. This is the media source that I use for myClip. Go into the properties, and you want to make sure that local file is unchecked. Because we're not using a local file, we're using a file that's on a remote server. So this will let you put a URL for a clip in there, just like that. So I would say, just like with the browser source, maybe you might want to like grab a clip of yours and just put it in there as a placeholder, so you can format the size and shape of the window and stuff, of the source and stuff, so it looks nice. So here's the media source. I called it myClip. You can call it whatever you want to call it. Okay, we'll get this woman some more pigs. What the heck? And when you format it, when you do your transform, no, that's not. Make sure you set bounds. Go away, kid. I don't want to talk to you. Oh, fine. What? So make sure you set bounds to fit. Otherwise, it might not stay the way you want it. Like it might like if you have, say, a clip in a different resolution from someone, like let's say like that's 1080p. If you have a 720p, it's going to change the size of the window if you don't have it set to fit. So put it on fit, size it how you like it, so it looks, the position and size the way you like it. And as long as you have it set to fit, it should pop up the same place, the same size every single time, no matter what the resolution of the clip is. So now, like I said, we're going to retrieve a clip the same way we did before. We're going to check if there's a clip, do a random clip between 0 and clip count, get the length of the clip. And now, here's the difference. Because we're getting links for a clip data type is a little different. It's for a different purpose. We're using a different variable type, so we're not going to be using clip data type. We're going to use clip download data, and I just call it download data. So we're going to use download data, that's our clip download data type, equals Twitch get clip download URLs. I don't know why they don't just call it download URLs, but whatever. And you're going to do clip number, just like before, .id. You want to get the clip ID, and that's the clip ID. And that'll send all that data, all those two download URLs, both the landscape and the vertical URL, to download data. That's all the clip download data types have, is your URLs. And then instead of sending it to a browser source, we're going to send it to our media source, my clip. And download data.landscape download URL. So we didn't even need that URL for clip URL. That didn't need to be there. Again, it's another thing I should have deleted before I finished this, so don't worry about that. And then you'll do your usual OBS show source and wait for the length of the clip. Other than that, it works the same. So instead of using a clip data type, we're using download URL type. We use this function here, and instead of sending it clip data, we'll just send download data.landscape download URL. If you want to do the vertical, I can't remember what the name of that variable is, but you probably want to show the landscape video anyway. So, and then of course you show your source, hide your source, except instead of your browser source, you're doing the media source. And you compile, save and compile. I've already done that. And then do my clip, and it'll get a random, clip of mine.
Yeah, I could sure use a helpful guy around.
And see how much prettier that is?
Like this. Yep, a handy guy sure would be a big help around here. So I can respond as a wolf and say, I'll help. Okay. Really? A talking wolf? You're a lifesaver. Well, do you think you do something about that rock? I'll give you some bombs and arrows. You're going to give a wolf bombs and arrows so you can put them together and shoot bombs and arrows at that. You're going to give a wolf bombs and arrows. Lady, I don't know how to explain this to you, but I mean, since you don't know Link's whole deal here and you think he's a regular wolf, see, wolves lack opposable thumbs. They can't really stand up on their hind legs that long. I think this is a glitch. It might be. Okay, and see, so that will play, and you see how much neater that is? You don't have that buffering or anything else. You don't have the playback bar. I wish we could do that for Raider clips, but you can't. It just doesn't work. Again, maybe someday in the future, Twitch will change their API and allow for that, but for the moment, you can only use it for something like that. But that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover in this video. It's like I said, a little follow-up, a couple extra things you can do with this. So I hope that was helpful to you. If you had any questions about the first two things about the age thing and the muting, there's your solutions right there. I hope that was helpful for you. And here's a couple extra little tricks you can do also. That's pretty much everything. I hope that was helpful to you. Let me know what you think. Again, like, comment, help push this through the algorithm so anyone who could use it can find it. It's mostly going to be people who watch the previous video. If you haven't seen it, I'll leave you a link to that in the description and somewhere around me here at the end of the video. Okay, well, so have a good one, and I hope that worked out for you.